Hey everybody, this is Trevor Petty and our last weekly discussion post. Um, I do think I've learned some things, and I think the first thing that sticks out about my preaching experience in this class was just realizing how monotonous I can sound. And it's interesting because I know I have that potential as a speaker and have a kind of a calm, soothing voice, which is not great when you're trying to inspire people or something. And so that's just definitely an area of some needed growth, continued practice, and focus. I think on my part as I speak to people, and so I think some strengths. I do think that I do well in preparation and how I kind of weave the story or the passage into whatever message and whatever conclusion. I do think that's probably a strength of mine. This comes up in some other questions later, but also my style being very like narrative driven, or trying to sort of begin somewhere and wander. Sometimes it may feel like wander somewhere and land somewhere where I think things do come together. I think that's a strength that I bring to the craft. Um, as far as my understanding of preaching the gospel on occasions, uh, it has been good just to be pushed to be more explicit in things, more articulate in how I communicate the gospel, because I do think that that's important at a variety of occasions, and so really being prodded and pushed in that way, I think, is healthy. Um, I do think I appreciate that more and feel more comfortable maybe doing so. Um, I also think it's made me more curious to pay closer attention to how others do so. And I think what I'll find is actually that others don't, or don't very much on certain occasions and things. And so I'm going to pay a lot closer attention now, particularly around holidays and weddings and funerals. As far as lingering questions, I think even as we were going through things in this class, I'd still love just to explore more how, particularly around the holidays or like Easter and Christmas, how the service on the whole can complement the sermon, or the sermon complement the service, I suppose. But how to do things in a way that the sermon is more integrated into the broader service. I think the same would be true with formats or potential formats for a wedding ceremony and a funeral service. And so that's something, again, I think I'm going to just keep paying attention to. But yeah, I am curious about, and I don't know if there's like particular reading about that or not, but that's something I do want to explore more. As far as where the Spirit's leading me and how to build on what I've learned and practiced, um, I think just continuing to be more forward with the gospel message, um, and not shy about that in a sermon. Um, I do think that that's probably it. Just being more straightforward and articulate, and maybe even just more intentional about making sure that certain things are articulated well, as far as how I'm communicating the gospel. Even though I might feel like it's there, or there's some nuance, or I'm connecting to the gospel, just making sure I'm actually saying, like speaking the words, the message, and aware of the possibility that there could be someone there that isn't aware of things I've said before, or previous sermons, or previous passages, or whatever it is. And so I think I think that's an area to continue. What I've appreciated most, I think, actually even exercises like this of just being forced to speak in front of people, and growing more and more used to that and more comfortable with that. I think that's just a healthy practice. I think that also with the sermons themselves, and getting to share and also speak to others, I think that's really healthy. That like kind of like those feedback loops, and being able to think through and even evaluate yourself. I remember that being a takeaway from PR 500 as well. But getting to like watch myself, and then sort of hear from others the things they noticed, which at times were lining up with some things I was noticing and going like, yep, shoot. Um, yeah, I think that was just a really good experience, and feeling a little bit less maybe of the performance pressure of like, yes, it's a sermon, and yes, a sermon is important, and also, we do our best and we learn from it, and we're always growing, and I think that's just kind of a healthy way to approach it. As a craft that you're going to put the time and effort into, and you're going to continue to be shaped by it yourself, and so I think that's a great approach. So, yeah, well, I think that's everything. Great learning together with you all, and I look forward to seeing some of your own reflections on the quarter together.